Okay, hello. I am Craig Snelling, and I've taught some of you. These are a group of people, all of whom I have taught at some stage, and they're all working in the business. So the idea is that I'm going to ask some questions about how they got into the business and stuff like that. But remember, this is for you. Sorry, man, yeah. This is for you. So I want you to ask questions if I don't seem to have covered something that you really want to know. This is Adam Elms. Would you like to make yourself known, Adam? Adam is doing a workshop tomorrow. Would you like to tell him about that for a second, Adam?
Yeah, so tomorrow at Hoppers 1 in the studio, I'm going to be talking about working as an actor, director and playwright for the last, 14, 15 years. That's giving away my age. It's opportunity to ask questions about journey from being here at UWE through to the present day. And so Hoppers 1 tomorrow in the studio.
And what time is it again? Hoppers 1? Hoppers 1. In the studio. Yes. That's the studio next door. One of the things that I also want to say is that one of our alumni called Maria Odufoye was going to come in, and she's a writer. She's actually a script editor. She wrote some plays while she was here, but she couldn't come at the last moment. And she is a script editor for EastEnders and for Sex Education. One of the reasons she couldn't come was because she's just got a new job. But I've got some information about her here. I'd be interested to know, is anyone here particularly interested in script editing or writing? I mean, just put your hand up if you are. No? Yes, okay. So I will be telling you a bit about her answer to these questions about how she went from being a student where she really didn't know what she wanted to do to being someone who took writing very seriously and wrote some very good plays and, as I said, is now a script editor. Okay, so here are your alumni. As you all know, if I've taught you, I'm very bad on names. So I'm just going to look at my list. So this is Rachel Eames. This is Frazer Meakin. This is Josiah. How do you pronounce your surname, Josiah?
My surname?
Your surname?
Eloi.
This is Jack Lord. This is Fifi Delaney. This is Belle, and this is Carys Jones. So I'm going to be asking them about the journey from why they came to UWE and how they ended up doing the jobs they're doing. They're going to be very specific, that's the whole point. But the idea is that you can understand that it is possible to do a degree and end up in the business. You don't have to go to drama school. And I want you to say something about that because we talked about it yesterday, the idea of what happens if you don't go to drama school and stuff like that. Okay, right. So the first thing then is, I'm going to ask you this question. Why did you come to UWE in the first place? And did you have any plans for doing a drama degree at UWE? Do you want to start, Jack? Okay, so yeah, why did you come to UWE and did you have any plans?
I came to UWE because it was the only drama degree that I saw out there that was like it had practical and written elements as well, but also I applied for loads of drama schools and didn't get in, and I wasn't ready for it, to be honest. And UWE offered something that was a bit different, and I think I needed to get away from home, to be honest, as well.
Now let's be really honest.
Yeah. I was not ready for drama school, and I wasn't ready to stay at home.
So did you have any ambitions about drama?
Yeah, I wanted to be a famous actor, and I wanted to make it in the industry.
Just to say, it's okay to want to be a famous actor.
I still want to be, guys, don't worry.
Is to get over saying it in the first place. Yeah, thanks. Fifi.
Hello. So I have to start at the beginning. I'm from Frome, and I left college, and I worked at Asda for a year. And after that year, like full-time working, I was like, get me out of this place. So I came to UWE. And when I was looking at universities, similar to Jack, this degree had writing and then physical theatre and acting. which I was interested in, not so much the theory stuff, and that reflected in my grades. But yeah, because it covered all the bases, I got to explore what I wanted to do, and I thought that hopefully doing this degree would help me pin down what I wanted to do specifically.
Okay, thanks, Fifi. Yes, Rachel.
I came to UWE because, same like Jack, I auditioned for a bunch of drama schools and I didn't get in, so I took a gap year. I was specifically looking for a course that did creative writing as part of it, and that was really practical. Another element was that I moved to the UK from Hong Kong, and I was looking to go to university to make connections, to be in a specific city, to then look to stay there to like make work afterwards and work in theatre and all of that.
Okay, thank you. And yes, Belle. I'm going to be asking you in a minute, by the way, what you are now doing. So that's going to come next. Yes, Belle.
So I came to UWE as a mature student. I came when I was 26. Previously, I dropped out of uni twice, actually, which isn't very good. I just didn't know myself very well, so I came a bit older. And I'm very glad I made that decision. And I tried a couple of universities. I got into Exeter, but it didn't appeal to me. What I liked about UWE, again, kind of repeating what they're saying, is the different, how varied it was. I intended on only going in practically, and then I ended up coming out with a degree of creative writing, which I never thought, as someone who's dyslexic, I would be capable of. And it's really helped me with everything else in my life moving forward as well. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Belle. Yes, Josiah.
Hello. I'm going to be honest and hear me out. I wanted to go to UOB, and I booked the wrong open day.
Which is?
The University of Bristol.
Okay.
But hear me out. But I came to UWE and genuinely absolutely loved it. Thought it was brilliant. And then never actually applied for UOB. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to come here instead. So yeah. But I don't regret it.
Okay, thanks, Josiah. Carys, yeah.
Hello. I was really interested in acting and learning the craft of that, which I immediately found here at UWE in the open day that Craig was running. And similarly, I was really interested in the creative writing course as well, and all of the kind of extracurricular theatre work that is ever present here at UWE too. So just all the opportunities you have to make theatre and, put it on for everyone to see.
Okay, thanks, Carys. And Frazer, yeah.
I also wanted to do the drama school thing. I went to a summer school at the Old Vic Theatre School, and I fell in love with Bristol. And I also very much needed to get away from home after a couple of years trying for drama school. And so, yeah, I looked at UWE and kind of thought, that heady mix of practical, but also some of that theory side as well, which actually I was quite intrigued in, but I don't think at the time I knew that until now.
Okay, thanks. I'm just going to read you what Maria said. Maria, who's a script editor. She said, I came to UWE because it was the done thing. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and never in a million years did I even think I'd make it to the end of the course. Okay, so let's start with you now, Frazer. Could you tell us what you do? How do you call yourself? What do you do as a living?
I'm a director, movement director, and educator.
Okay, and is that freelance, or do you work for a company?
Freelance.
Okay.
So,
okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Carys.
I am an actor, voiceover artist, and I call myself a freelance creative because I have done many jobs in the creative arts, from building sets to facilitating workshops. So anything anyone will be willing to pay me for, pretty much, I will do.
I'm an actor and facilitator for families. And I'm freelance, but work under an agent who helps me get in the room for things.
Okay, we're going to be asking about agents and your experience of agents and how necessary they are. Thanks for that, Josiah. Yeah, Belle.
I'm a secondary school drama teacher, and I'm also theatre maker and actor.
I am primarily a voiceover actor. I also make a little bit of theatre with a focus on creative tech. What else do I do? And I don't have an agent as a voiceover actor, but I'd really like to talk about that later on when we talk about agents.
Okay, thanks. Yes, Fifi.
So I'm a theatre maker, a director, a facilitator, 2 different things. And what was the other thing? Event manager, which again, like theatre, event managing theatre.
I thought you said event manager. Okay, it's good to
Event?
manager.
Yeah.
Event manager.
Yeah.
I thought there's honesty and there's honesty, you know?
I'm an actor, theatre maker, director, facilitator. Yeah, I think, that's it.
Okay, thanks. Right, here's a big one. Was there a point in your degree where you turned a corner that set you on your present course? So most of you have said that you didn't quite know what you wanted to do when you came here. So was there a time when you thought, yeah, this is what I want? And could you say what that was? Yeah, Jack.
Yeah, it was in second year. First year, I just messed around.
I remember.
Yeah. But second year, because I did the drama society in first year, and then in second year, I ran it with Josiah, and I don't know, we were just like putting on shows off our own back, and doing that alongside the course made me think about everything else that goes into making a show. And for some reason, something just clicked in my head, and I was like, oh, this is exciting. I like this. And I like the busyness of it as well. I was like juggling doing second year with that. And I was just like, oh, I want to do this and keep doing lots of stuff.
So it was in the second year when you were running the drama society?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Fifi.
For me, my grades kind of got better as I was going through the degree. And mainly during my FYP, which is in third year when we were creating our final piece. Throughout your course, you'll start to see people who are kind of just here because they're here and here for the passion. And I think in my group, I started to emerge as kind of a natural leader, like taking charge of things and getting things done. So that's probably when the director thing started coming in for me.
Thanks, Fifi. Just to say something about Fifi admitting to being a natural leader. I think one of the most important things, possibly the most important thing about doing the degree here, is suddenly realizing that you can do something really well and not holding back from that. And I know that Fifi is a natural leader, but I also know that you didn't realize that that's what it was called when you took the reins. So the important thing is, and you can ask questions about this, is you have got talent. That's why you're doing the course. You wouldn't be here otherwise. And it's about trying to find out what you can do with that talent so you can stay in the business, so that you can make it work for you and earn you money. That's what this is all about. Yes, Rachel, thank you.
I think what I found out about myself at university was that I sort of came in thinking I just wanted to be an actor, and I was quite single focused about that. But being here and doing the variety of different courses, the different modules that we have, I sort of learned to be more open to things. Particularly doing avant-garde in third year for me, and in second year we used to do a module called the Radical Self.
Ah, yes.
Which
Yes,
is quite
the
like
Radical Self.
experimental, looking at like performance art, and suddenly the world of what performance and acting could be was so much bigger than I'd ever realized. And I've sort of carried that on after university, and just be curious and open to everything. And I think that's kind of what's got me the experience of what I've done and where I am today.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Belle.
Okay, so I think a turning point for me was when we started devising. I completely and utterly fell in love with the process of it. In some ways, I think I prefer the process than the product. I do like acting, but I love the being in a room and bouncing off ideas and creating. And then in my second year, we applied for a professional skin theatre festival, which Adam was also in. And we were just like, right then, why not? Let's not, just because we're uni students doesn't mean we can't put a performance together and it could be paid for it. And we applied for it. There's only a little 15-minute slot. And then I kind of fell in love with it. And then through that, learn how to direct. Again, kind of similar with like realizing I feel quite good being in front of people and directing, which has also then kind of led to me feeling confident in front of a class of 30 students and being a teacher. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
And I just want, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
And the festival that Belle and Adam were both a part of was conceived, curated by a drama graduate. Okay, so, you know, this ripple down effect. Yeah, who did a fabulous avant-garde piece as well, by the way.
Thanks, Caroline.
I did not know that.
And also, just whilst we're on Belle, Belle's play called Sugar, is on at 7 o'clock this evening here, yes?
Yes, yeah.
So do stick around. We're hoping to finish at about 10 to 6, and the cafes said they'd stay open. So if when we go out, you buy some coffee, tea, or whatever, and then you can stick around for Belle's show at 7. Okay, thanks very much, Belle. Yeah.
I think for me, I don't think there was a specific turning point, if I'm being completely honest. But like me growing up in a very like small village, you know what I mean, being the only different one, coming to Bristol.
Where was the small village?
In Malton, in Northampton.
Malton, okay.
Yeah, lovely area. Yeah, bins everywhere. But yeah, coming to UWE and doing the 12 hours a week and having sort of all my lectures split across the week and having the time in between to sort of go out and explore and, you know, and be cool and chat to people and hang out in the cafe and things like that. That sort of freedom is, I think, what motivated me to want to have a more creative life and a freelance lifestyle where I can sort of do fun, different things every day, right? So yeah, that's.
Could you stay on that for a second? You are an actor with an agent, is that right?
Yes.
And does your agent get you work, and are you working at the moment?
Yes, so my agent gets me work. It comes. Her job is to submit me and to sort of sort out any contracts and things like that. I'm working at the moment, so I mean. I've just finished filming something and I'm doing panto this Christmas. So, yeah, there's some work coming up. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Josiah. Yes, Carys.
Could I talk about an agent to start with?
You can, yes.
So I have actually had 2 agents, and I have never had a single job out of the agency. I have got all of my own work for the past 6 years, so I don't want anyone ever to think that you cannot get work without an agent, because I've had them, and they didn't do anything for me. So there's a number of ways that I find work, which I can go into a bit later, but absolutely, you know, and for me, like UWE gave me so many different skills, and I went to drama school. I did a master's at Birmingham Conservatoire, and I was the only one in the cohort who had a more specialist training and kind of avant-garde theatre, physical theatre, movement, voice, which all of these skills I got from UWE, and actually some of the training I got here was better than drama school, not going to lie. I especially because I came from you know, school. I was quite young. I just wanted to act. I wanted to act as much as I could, and so I was like, I'm going to be this straight-laced actor. Maybe I'll try method acting. And then we had the modules to kind of look at, and I was like, 448 psychosis, what's that? And that was a real turning point for me, because it was like this explorative play where you're in such a supported environment with your lecturers and everyone around you, because we were put into groups, and it was just the most magical group that I could have hoped for. And we created this piece of work that I'd never done before, never devised before, which you don't really have much opportunity to outside of this course. Being completely honest, at drama school, my head of year scoffed that I wanted to make my own theatre. And because they're all about actor training, and they put you in a box. They're like, you look like a wartime nurse, so that's all we're going to let you do for a year. So that was my experience. And they try and put you in a box, and like, this is your casting. I was 26 when I went to drama school. They were like, you can only play 18 to 23. And I was like, well, I'm 26. I'm 31 now. And at the end of the year, the head of acting said, yeah, your casting is young mum. And I was like, okay. And in the past 6 years, I've played scientists, murderers, plenty of wartime nurses. And, you know, I think that being here, being in this environment is so beneficial to making theatre in the real world, and that's what you don't get at drama school.
And can I also say around that, as you know, that there is an academic side to this course. Academics, we look at the intellectual stuff behind what it is to create a performance, and I think that's what you're talking about, the difference here between being a university degree and a drama, going to drama school, is that there is a lot of intellectual substance to what we do here, which is why we do so much devising and why we do stuff which is not just straightforward naturalistic acting. Okay, thanks, Carys. Yes, Frazer.
I don't think there was a turning point as such. Like, I always knew, like a dog with a bone, that I was going to be in this industry. And I think that I was always very passionate about how things are created, the wider angle, so to speak, rather than just what I was doing in a space. And I have to say that I think my turning point was on graduation day. And actually, Sarah, it's something you said to me. Because at the time I was going for masters, and actually I got on the reserve list for Drama Centre, but no longer exists. Woo! Not that it doesn't exist. Glad I didn't actually end up getting on. And it was Sarah that said to me, like, have you thought properly about directing? And I had, and then I was like, no, that is what I'm passionate about. I like the wide angle, I like leading, and I like the process. And that's what this course certainly gave me, was how to think about the process, how to think about the wider and the creation of that. And so, yeah, and now I realise this is where I feel at home, and that is directing. And you just get a feeling, don't you? And it actually, in terms of my process with actors in the space, that's heavily influenced on the stuff I learnt here. I did go on to the Old Vic Theatre School and do the directing course there. And yes, that actually, what that gave me was contacts. And that's what it gave me. It didn't, I left that course going, I knew how to do this anyway, but what it had was a name. And that's nothing. Because as I said in the workshop I did earlier, if you want it, you can go. You do not need a drama school training, certainly, to be a director, and I don't think you do to be an actor at all now. And actually, I think drama school training is dead. What is alive is what you learn in these spaces, and all the other. So actually, avant-garde is heavily influenced in my practice. Acting for screen, I'm now one of the BFI New Voices for the Southwest, and my love for film and screen and my knowledge of that stuff came from this course. Anyway.
Frazer, can we stay with you just for a moment, and I'm going to go back then. Now I want you to be not at all self-effacing here. What is it about you, your character traits, your talent, that has got you to where you are? You're all successful in your field, so be as specific as you can. What is it about you, Frazer, that's got you where you are?
I'm ambitious and I am hungry. Basically,
okay.
I'm ambitious and hungry.
The cafe is open until 6
I actually am hungry. I think it's about being proactive and not waiting for anybody else to give it to you, because they won't give it you on a plate. And even now, it's like, it's a slog. It's a real slog. It is not easy. And so, yeah, for me, it's about being ambitious and also just being lively in the space and being proactive in the spaces that you're in, talking to those people, not being afraid to, also not being, I said this earlier at the end of my thing earlier, is that not being afraid to big up your colleagues as well. It's so easy for us to be dog eat dog in this industry, and actually the only person that falls down there is yourself. Support your colleagues. If you're not right for that job, push someone else forward, because they will pay it forward another time. And if they don't, then they're not worth knowing in the industry.
Okay, thanks. Carys, can you say something now? I just want to read you what Maria said. When I asked her about her talent, she said, I think I'm the kind of person not to pull the ladder up behind me. When you get your foot in the door, wherever it is you want to be, keep it open. To close the door or pull up the ladder behind you is robbing the world of talent that may never be heard or seen. And belief in my self-worth, making sure that you promote the love between you all, because there's a lot of not love out there. And I think that this is a very important thing. One of the things that I hope you all get from UWE is the fact that we're extremely supportive, and we teach you how to be supportive of each other and not competitive. I mean, I know that people think that acting and working in this business is competitive, but you get the work if you're talented. You can't pretend to be talented. You either are or not. And competition is for people who run fast or not so fast. It's for racing. It's not for working together. And I'm going to ask you, I know you've got to go soon, Frazer, but I do want you to say something about this. The idea of working collaboratively. You know, what is it to work collaboratively? Do you ever have to swallow your own feelings in order to get something done for the sake of the show? But I'm going to ask you that in a minute. Okay, Carys, yeah.
Oh, what do you want me to talk about? Me.
Yes, I want you to.
So yeah, I think so. Being completely honest and truthful, I never thought I could be self-employed. I never thought I could be a freelancer. For one, I'm the most disorganized person you could ever meet in your life, and actually, I've found that this way of life is the complete course that I want to do. And just to echo what Frazer has said, it's about showing up, doing the best you can, being on time and just smashing it in the room. You are always going to be... when I was at drama school, everybody kind of... The lead, the senior lecturers there were kind of like, it's dog eat dog. You're going to get smashed to bits if you're in a casting situation. Theatre companies, you've got to have your CV on hand at any point. So if you hear someone talking in a restaurant, you've got to hand it to them. And it's just not like that in the real world. I've worked with professional theatre companies who are so supportive and lovely and wonderful if you are supportive and lovely and wonderful in the room. And so many of us are in the creative arts. You know, you've got a lot to give. This is why you're here. And it's about being you in the room, being your authentic self and kind of getting rid of any ego, because it just doesn't exist in professional theatre. It really, really doesn't. And it's about making the work and getting along with everybody. People who are difficult and who don't turn up on time, I mean, obviously there's reasons why we can be late sometimes, but, you know, it's about being your authentic self and being true to that. And really finding your way in this huge amalgamation of the creative arts, because even within this panel today, we do, there's a few of us who do similar things, but even within those similar veins, we all do different things. So it's finding a place where you feel good and you feel confident, and that comes with just doing it and doing it again and getting yourself in the same spaces. If you work with a theatre company and you're a good person and you're a good worker and you're there and you do it, they ask you back. And that's why you create these professional relationships with people by just turning up, doing the work, doing it well. And I think that's what UWE really does instill in you from the get-go.
Yeah, go for it.
Something to add on that is people talk and the industry is tiny. The industry is tiny. And even sat amongst you now, the way you are on this course, people will make it in the industry. And if you're that person that doesn't turn up to lectures or doesn't pull their weight, if you may suddenly come through the door, because I know now there's a number of people from my cohort that are still doing acting, but if they walk through my door, they wouldn't get cast. Simple as that. But also people talk. And then, like, I have got most of my work from recommendations and suggestions, and I know for a fact that, for example, the company manager that worked on a show that I worked on last year had a phone call from a big West End producer about me. I know for a fact that I got a job because I was put forward by somebody that I worked with 3 years ago. People talk. And never be false, so never be fake, because you read through that, but it's just about just do your best work, and if you want to be in this industry, you should hopefully enjoy it anyway.
And turn up on time.
Turn up.
Yeah.
And also, my big one is moaning. If you don't like something, like, think about a time and a place to have a moan about that, because if you're moaning in rehearsal or moaning all the time, that never looks good.
Okay, yes, thanks, Josiah. So remember, this is about your particular talent, yeah?
Yeah. To be honest, I think, for me, it's kind of two things that I feel I can do that has helped me to get to where I am. Number one, I'm not afraid of being an elf, right? Yeah. And doing jobs where you go off and you play an elf or a slice of cake or something like that, and doing the acting jobs and working with producers and things like that. And I'll tell you something now, right? I'll tell you this now, right? The same people, okay, who do family engagement for the Royal Opera House, right? They also do lots of jobs. They also run the grottos up at Cribbs Causeway, right? Okay, there are people everywhere on all different levels, all right? So I tell you, if you can go into a grotto or dress like a reindeer or a massive slice of cake and do it like you're doing it for free and you've got a passion for it, I promise you, you'll start making connections like that. And it will come from the, right? It will come from the weirdest places. You bump into the weirdest people at the weirdest places. And also as well, I feel that I've never quit, and I've never wanted to. Well, I want to quit all the time. Like, you know, I walk back from rehearsal, I get splashed by a puddle from a car, and I'm like, I'm in the wrong industry. But you know, to be honest with you, I think quitting is one of the biggest things that affects this whole industry. I tell you this now, and I agree with what both of you are saying, that the talent in this room and the talent that I've worked with at UWE are as good as all the people at all the drama schools that I've worked with. But I tell you, if the people who had quit had never have quit, the entire landscape of this industry would look completely different. So just don't quit. Yeah.
Okay. Is that it? You were going to say, I mean, I want you to say something about your talent as an actor now.
Well, where do I begin?
So I'm going to ask you this. When did you realise that you were a good actor? Because I've seen you act. You are a very good actor. So when did you realise that?
To be honest, I did do I actually did a performance here. It was called I Am Black Boy, and I did it here. And I do comedy a lot of the time. And that was my first. I know, you wouldn't think it, would you? And that, for me, doing that monologue was a serious monologue. Do you remember we saw it?
Very well, yeah.
That, for me, was a point where I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not just the stereotype that I thought I was. Maybe that, you know, I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And to be fair to Amanda, she was like, Josiah, you need to do this, please do it. And I was like, oh, but it's very serious. And I did it, and that then coming out of my comfort zone made me go, well, if I can do this, I must be able to do so much more.
Okay. Thanks, Josiah. I'm glad you said that. Yes, Belle.
Hello, I'm going to maybe go. I think my success is through the ability of allowing myself to be vulnerable, actually. I'm not afraid. I've been totally honest, I come from a background where I've not had any support, so I've had to do everything on my own, and that's me. I'm being vulnerable right now, guys. I think part of it was turning to other people in my life, like teachers, like university lecturers, and putting myself out there and, you know, saying, like, I need help or I need support. And because of that, it's allowed me to grow so much as a person, both personally and professionally. So be vulnerable. Also, always being careful of your ego. Like, I always, even when I'm with my students, you know, okay, I'm a secondary school teacher, I say to my students, just because I'm older than you doesn't mean I know. I said I have more experience. I said, but you're going to teach me things. People are always going to teach you things. You're going to know stuff with your fresh mind that I can learn from you. And I think it's being really open to that. So yeah, kind of getting rid of that ego of I know better. We never know anything, really. So I think that's really massively helped me. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there.
Okay, thanks, Belle. Yes, Rachel.
I think one of my biggest skills is that I've come to know myself quite well. And from being in theatre spaces, I've learned that I'm not the loudest person in the room. I'm normally one of the quieter ones, and that's okay because my skill is listening. So I think you really have to listen to the people that you're working with and make everyone that's around you feel really special and important, and be really open and curious about what other people do. I have had so many opportunities because I have listened to someone talk about a project that they want to do, and then you pass on someone else who's like, oh, this person would be really good for that. And then they in turn go, oh, actually, Rachel's really good at this. And then you kind of, like everyone's been saying, people talk and you have this circular thing. So if you make someone feel special, they'll remember you because you're the person that's, made that space for them, and they'll make space for you as well. There was another thing that I was going to say. Come back to me.
You can come back, don't worry. Yeah, Fifi.
So I think one of my main, the best things about me is my confidence, which isn't necessarily something that it took a long time. It wasn't just through drama, it was personal, and it was about my appearance and everything like that. But even in first year and second year, people would say to me, you walk around the canteen and you're just so confident. And I'm like, am I? That's just how people perceive me. So it's really important to just obviously you should be confident, everyone should be confident, but just be decisive in yourself. Uni is a time where you're all going to be figuring out yourself and who you are and what your style is and what you like. So just get to know that person, and then when you enter a room or you enter a process, people are going to recognize that. A lot of times when I've done NYT, for example, the person who's leading will be like, you're a natural leader, I could leave the room right now and you could take over. I haven't necessarily done anything. I haven't overstepped, I haven't got involved, I haven't tried to lead, but they recognize that I'm confident and I'm capable of doing that just by me being there. I don't know if that's helpful, or whether that's something I was born with, or maybe it's just Maybelline.
It's very helpful for us. It's helpful for us.
Yeah. Something else, similar to what everyone else is saying, having the willingness to learn. Everyone has come here from different backgrounds. You might have people who are 18 who don't have much experience, or you might have older students who do have other experiences doing other things, and they're bringing different perspectives to the space. So just always being aware that you can learn new things. You'll go beyond uni and you'll meet people from other art forms as well. Just ingest as much as you can. Just take in, absorb everything you can. And similar to that, in a process, in a space, bringing solutions rather than problems. You can bring a problem, but make sure you have a solution. It really is hard to work and to move forward if you're just bringing a problem, throwing it out there, and that's it. Everyone deal with it. No, come with a solution, because that's what's going to make whatever you're doing, you're going to be productive, you're going to move on, you're going to progress and develop.
Okay, thanks. And just on that note, quite often if you're working in live theatre, usually a problem, to surmount that problem, becomes something creative. And therefore, you know the Simpsons thing about the opportunity. Every problem is an opportunity. And so what you're saying is when there's a problem, particularly if it's live theatre, audiences will accept something like climbing a mountain when there's no mountain there, or flying, or swimming. They will accept it because that's the whole nature of suspension of disbelief. And so, so thanks for that, Fifi. Yes, and what about you, Jack?
I think I'm quite friendly sometimes, so I think that helps. I remember I was in third year avant-garde and Caroline was teaching, and this is one thing that's always stuck with me is she said, where I've got to is because I've just always been nice. Just go into a room and just always be nice, be yourself, but don't be a dick, because as everyone said, people talk. Just going into the room, being yourself, being nice, it gets you so unbelievably far. I can't, most of the jobs I get is just because I become friends with someone.
Okay,
or I
because
just-
you're nice, Jack, but come on, I've seen you act as well. You're a bloody good actor.
Well, okay, thank you, Craig.
That's
Yeah, I work hard as well. I have quite sometimes unbearable work ethic. I think you've just got to believe in yourself. Have like a little bit of like naivety about. Is it naivety or like kind of just delusion is the word? Just a little bit delusional. I like have all these things and I put hard work behind it, and it gets me to where I want to go.
And you have a car as well.
And I have a car as well.
I'm just going to have a bit of a break from it because I know that Fraser's got to go. You don't have to, but is there anything you want to ask at this stage, particularly if Fraser needs to know something before, answer something before he goes? Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you. I was just going to ask, because you... Oh, sorry, my voice. You mentioned, like, the slog in the industry, or that sometimes it could be challenging and stuff, and I just sort of quoted it here. And I was just going to ask, like, what makes you
I
stay...
hope it's Harvard referenced.
No, unfortunately not, but, yeah, so I was just going to ask, like, what makes you stay motivated, excited, and not disheartened when there's, like, the slow times?
Because this is going to sound so wanky, I'm so sorry. Because if I wasn't doing this, I don't know what I would do. As I said, it's where I feel at home. But don't get me wrong, I wake up so many mornings and say, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't like, this is just, like, I'm not getting anywhere. And it seems to come in waves. And I think you get through because we always do. And because we're artists and we thrive from a certain pressure. And when we're doing it, there's nothing else like it. And I couldn't describe it to my therapist. But I think, you do it because you need to, and there's nothing else you can think of doing.
I know that we all talked about it. Yes, Carys. Yes, anything?
Yeah, okay, so this is something when I've thought about coming here, and what I will say to you people is you've got to get comfortable with the fear. You've got to get comfortable with rejection. And as soon as you can get comfortable with reading that email, if that email even arrives, because actually getting a rejection email is great news in this industry, because half the time you don't hit anything. So getting really comfortable with reading that thing, thank you very much for your time, but it's not what we're looking for today. Fine, move on, okay? There will be weeks where you are just completely horizontal for that time. But the work comes if you are ready for it and you want it enough. And it is about having the self-advocacy of applying, and emailing, especially in the early days. It gets easier. It definitely gets easier the more you're in the industry, because you've got connections. And as we've all said, the theatre industry in this country is so small. It really is. People talk, and you get jobs through other people. And if you are also putting your colleagues and your friends up for things, you say, oh, I've found this casting, you'd be perfect for it. That is the type of person you need to be in this industry. But I think more than anything, as a freelancer, and because that's eventually how these roads lead, in that you're going to build up a portfolio of work. Some of that work is going to be your bread and butter, the stuff that pays the bills. Mine is facilitation. I work a lot with children. I devise theatre with children. I love it. So finding a bread and butter job that doesn't make you want to throw yourself off the suspension bridge is like one of the first things you can do to start sustaining yourself as an individual in this industry. And then you build it up little by little, bit by bit, and then as soon as you know it, you're doing it. And there is always, I think everybody on this panel will tell you, there's going to be periods where you don't have anything in the diary. 2 weeks ago, I had nothing, I'm not even joking, nothing in the diary for October, and I was freaking out. I was like, I'm never going to work again. I'm crying, talking to my friends like, I'm going to have to go back to supply teaching. And then in the past week, my whole of October has been booked up. And it just happens like that. So getting really comfortable with the fear, because that is part of this whole thing, is what you've got to do.
And that is the nature of the work.
Yeah.
You'll hear all actors and directors say that. Sometimes I'm in work and sometimes it's not. It's not the same as having a 9-to-5 job. Yes, you're going to say something. And
Yes.
Can you also mention something about what we talked about yesterday, about imposter syndrome and stuff?
Yes,
Yeah.
well, that was actually just, yes, I can.
Okay.
I just want to say, the industry is small. It is small, right? Everyone knows someone who knows everyone, right? But what I will tell you, and that creeped me out, right? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like, where do you turn? Who do you network with? What do you say? What if I accidentally don't open a door for someone and then they think I'm awful and that was actually Cameron McIntosh, right? It can be terrifying, right? And it can lead to imposter syndrome, right? And if people in it don't know what imposter syndrome is, effectively, it's the anxiety of feeling that you don't deserve to be somewhere, okay? You don't deserve to be in a room with someone.
And can I just say, particularly if you haven't been to drama school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So specifically, this can happen a lot in auditions for people like us, right? For people that didn't want to do or didn't get into the drama school route, you can, and it will happen, you can be in an audition with someone that went to RADA, you can be in an audition with someone who went to Lambda, and then and I felt it, I've felt it, and then you're like, well, I went to uni, and it is terrifying, right? You're like, oh my gosh, here we go. And to be honest, I learned this the hard way, because I worried and I didn't talk to anyone about it. And I said, you know what, I'll sort it out myself. And that's the hard way of learning it, right? But I promise you, the training here, the things you experience, the people you are and what you are capable of is good enough. It is good enough and you will do it.
Okay, thanks very much, Josiah. I know that Frazer has to go. Thanks, Frazer. Okay. Anyone else like to say anything around this idea of what you do when you haven't got a job, or what you do when you feel imposter syndrome? Yeah. Go for it, Jack.
I'm currently in this. I'm currently feeling this. Like, we just finished a show, and now I don't really have. I mean, again, like you said, stuff starts filtering in over the next few months, but I don't have anything happening right now, and it does something to your head. You go, I'm not working right now, so I'm shitting myself. Like, well, how am I going to pay my bills? Da, da, da. So, but I think something important about this course is that it taught me to go, like, oh, I'm not getting some acting work now, but I know how to write something, so why don't I fill this next month and focus on writing? Because then I've got a job, and then I've got some time off here, so then I can, in that time, use all these other things that I've learned about how to create a play, contact people, do a little bit of producing here and there, and then I have a work in progress set up for in a few months' time. It's just what this course is amazing for.
Would you say, Jack, that it's about learning to take yourself seriously as a performer, as a writer?
Yeah, as everything.
Anything I want to do, I can do because I have the talent.
This course made me go, I don't want to just be an actor anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do it all.
Yeah.
And you kind of do have to do that as well.
Belle, did you want to say something?
That's exciting.
Yeah, give it to Belle.
I think this course also made me realise my capacity because of how much you can do. Because, you're doing a full-time degree, but then because you get so inspired and then you create theatre companies and then you're doing all this other... You realise your capacity. Yes, I'm a full-time teacher, but I also have a theatre company with my friends because I'm so driven by my passion. I also sing in bands. So it's made me realise, okay, yeah, I've got a full-time job, and eventually my plan is to go down to 4 days a week, because we were talking about, sometimes, and I still love my job, don't get me wrong, but the balance isn't right. But I've got the bread and butter to help pay the bills, But it still does not stop me because I'm so driven by the absolute love for what I do. And yes, sometimes you do have the reality of it, but just keep going because it pays off.
Can I ask you, Belle, did you do a PGCE when you left university?
Yeah, I took a year out to work as a teaching assistant to decide if I wanted to do teaching. And that's when I started the theatre company on the side as well.
So was that a PGCE, the teaching experience?
Yes, so I worked as a teaching assistant in a primary school, and then I did a PGCE after
I see.
it.
So
it
for
took a
those
while.
of you who are interested in teaching, remember there is this whole other place that you can go. You can do an MA, you can do a PGCE if you want to be a teacher. Thanks for that, Belle. Yeah.
I just really quickly want to say something on imposter syndrome. A lot of the times you'll find that you're the one putting yourself in the box, that's saying like, I can't be an actor because I haven't gone to drama school, or I can't do this because I haven't reached this level, or someone hasn't told me that I'm good enough to do this. And that's your brain putting yourself in your own box. And all it takes to break out of that is to just say, actually, I am an actor and that's enough. Yeah. And just decide it for yourself, because if you decide it for yourself, other people will believe it as well. And also, lots of well-known actors never went to drama school. I mean, drama school can be very good, and lots of them did, but also lots of them didn't. Any more questions before we move on? Yes, would you like to take that? Is it directed towards anyone in particular?
So basically, hi. So basically, I'm just wondering, when you was saying about with like the directing, if you do any of like directing pieces or like leadership type of things, and you say you have to obviously be like nice and friendly, which is just obvious, but at the same time, how do you find that balance between like actually doing the directing? Because sometimes when you're working with people, you want to see them as professional and very like with it, but at the same time you want to be still friendly and nice to them and work as a team. And I just want to know like where's the balance between them two, so you don't come across as like stern or mean, like stuff like that.
Hello. So as Jack just mentioned, we just did a show together, and the last couple of shows we did, we got external actors in. So it's half our company, people I knew, friends, and then half were people that I'd never met before. And I think finding the balance, as the director, you're setting the tone for the room. I think I make the room quite friendly and fun, I would hope. But when it's time to like call the shots and time is ticking and we need to get work done, don't be afraid to step up, because as the director, they should respect you and look to you for guidance, and they do. One of the, all this imposter syndrome chat, one thing that I've experienced in this past process, everyone is looking at you with like faces like this. When you're like, I want you to do this, just do this, they're like, what? Or they might even be like, why are we doing that? Like, what? You just have to believe in yourself, and if you're prepared, being prepared is the most important thing. So when people have the questions, that you have the answers to give them, and being really, really detailed, knowing everything, why you've chosen to do what you're doing. I think you set the tone of the room.
And can I also say, in terms of directing, I don't know if you've done any directing, but directors don't just tell people what to do. They are part of the whole thing. And one of the things as a director is that I'm always asking actors for their own ideas. And although I've got a plan, I certainly let that plan go west if actors say, but what about this? Directors don't just tell people what to do, though they may be in charge. And the other thing I would say is that if someone asks you a question you don't know the answer, Fifi, I think it's important to say, I don't know. Let's try and see what we can do with this. Anyone got any ideas?
That's the thing, because of this course, and we come from a devising background, it's all about being open all the time to the developments. Like I said, we had a script. I wasn't married to the script. If someone else in the group was like, I don't think this character would say this, I let them explain why. If I agree, then yeah, let's do it. It's about being open and always developing and changing.
Yes, Josiah, you wanted to say something?
I'd just like to say as well about sort of finding the balance, and sort of from my perspective, sort of being on the other side of the director, is that first of all, I think it's about a mutual respect. When you go into a room, It's what am I trying to say? When you go into a room, there's a mutual respect there. Okay, that I feel that okay, I'm an actor, and we're going to work this out together, and we're going to do it, and it gets created. Okay, and it's about having that respect, also of bringing a pencil and turning up on time and things like that. Okay, a lot of the time, directors never ever have to be mean or call someone out or anything like that, because if there's that mutual respect there, then ideas can flow. The worst thing in the world is when an actor who never turns up and does all the wrong things like that and then turns around and goes, but what about this? Then the director's like, dude, seriously, like, come on, now you're trying to slow me down further. But if there's a mutual respect there, it can be much easier. And then also, on top of that, I forgot what my other point was.
Okay, well, that's okay. Would anyone...
Just bringing this question up. Heather, hello. So Heather's going into third year and is actually a great director. Yeah. So So I'm interested. Can I ask you a question? I'm interested in your question in terms of the experience that you've had and why you asked it.
Why I asked the question? Okay, wow, fun. I just wanted to ask that question is because with some of the times I always second question myself about like if I'm actually doing the right thing for it and if I'm coming across as, because I want to come across as, I want to be like very collaborative. I want to be like, I want everyone's ideas. It's the type of like director I want to be, and I want everyone's ideas to be involved. But I'm so like I second guess myself a lot about if my ideas that I actually like do speak about and all of that, if it's coming across as like, she's being too tough, like, is she doing this because I don't like this idea, especially when I had to practice, or like when I was with Morgan for second year, I had to practice with like the entire class, and I'm like, am I being too mean, am I being good, am I being too soft? I'm like, it's just to finding the balance.
I think for me...
Yeah, Heather.
I think for me, for working with that as well, what a director can really do to make actors feel comfortable in a room is not pretend to be a director and just direct. Okay, when a director comes in, we were working on this comedy show, this really fun show, and the director was, well, I never go for a drink with the actor. How could I do that? I'm their director, and it's like, dude, come on, just chill, right? We're all human beings, so don't pursue. I'm not saying you do this. I'm not like, listen here, you. But don't pretend to be a director. Just direct.
And also, what I wanted to say was, in the end, it comes down to trying things out and seeing what works. And if what works is something that an actor suggested, then great. If what works is what you suggested, then also great. So as a director, when someone says, what about this? I would say, okay, show me. And when they do it, then you can tell whether it works or not, as opposed to whether the idea is a good one. It's show me, and if it works, then we'll use it. Yes.
I was just going to say, I know I have directed students and adults, but also I think establishing there's that fine line of being vulnerable, but also being the person who's leading. But also you can say like, this is how I can't, your expectations, like establishing the room and how you want it to be from the get-go, because then that opens it up. I find that's really helpful because, yeah, you've kind of set the tone then, maybe not saying you second guess yourself potentially, but just saying, I want this to be an open space. And then everyone instantly feels comfortable because then they know what the boundaries are. I find that really helpful, yeah.
Okay, yes, Carys.
Oh, sorry, I did not help at all there.
It's all right. I worked with a great director once who kind of had a set thing that we did at the very start of a rehearsal and at the very end. I was just thinking about, I had a director once who brought food to every rehearsal, Craig Snelling. And so there's a kind of check-in with all of your actors, like, how are you feeling? And you don't have to do that, like, right, how's everyone feeling, tell me. You can be like, right, if you were a type of weather, what would you be? If you were a colour, it's very, drama. But just having that so you can kind of check in with everybody. And then at the end of the rehearsal, you have a similar thing. And also there was kind of like a question for each of us, like, so what does your character want in this scene? And so you kind of have that at the very beginning, and then you asked again at the end. So it's kind of creating your own little protocol, I guess, of how to manage the space and manage your time with your actors, because you're all just a team really, and you're all working together, and that's how the best directors
Yeah, and
work.
I think although the director is usually in charge, she's still just part of a team. Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, because I keep hearing this phrase. I keep going home and being asked what my 5-year plan is. Being I know, and I don't know how to explain it. Doing a creative course where my family asks what my plan is for the next 5 years, I always feel quite defeated that I don't have a set, organised plan.
I think I can answer this. So I come from a family of tradies. So all of my dad's side are all builders. My mum was a nurse. So when I came out, all glittery and sparkling, I want to be an actor. They were like, what the fuck? Doesn't matter. Does not matter to anyone else apart from you. People go, oh, what's your 5-year plan? You'll be like, live, enjoy it, be an artist, try some things, do some stuff. You know, that is all you need to do. And this is what you get after uni. They're like, oh, what you doing now? Oh, what jobs you got? And you've always got someone who's like, oh, what you auditioning for? Oh, have you seen that? Oh, did you get a call back? Oh, what you doing now? What jobs you got? That's probably one of the worst questions you get as an actor all the time is, oh, what you working on? Have you got anything in the pipeline?
Also, I think what Carys is saying is that most people don't come from actor backgrounds.
Yeah.
Therefore, people really don't know what an actor does, or whether they're working all the time. For example, my mum and dad worked all their lives. They don't know what it's like to be an actor. But can we add to this, please, any way we have of mentioning negativity, discouragement, and how we dealt with it? I think that's what you're saying, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, yes. Anything else?
I dealt with it by being a professional actor and doing the work and being like, come and see me in this show, and then that shut them up.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. So my family are all on both sides. I'm the only actor. I think my aunt maybe worked in costume or something, so we kind of floated about a little bit. But my 2 older brothers are incredibly academically smart. So I very much get the what's your 5-year plan? Are you going to buy a house? Blah, 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 right? And to be honest, it sucks, right? It's hard. You have to have a lot of awkward conversations at Christmas, right? Right?
Winning an Eames Centre.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think that's a cliche, but it's not.
And
people try and tell you how you can get on EastEnders when they're a plumber.
I know, and and you will have to have those conversations. But I promise you, so for example, my mum's the best woman in the world, right? Period. And she is just wicked. But she was really, really unsure, right? My mum loves me to my core. That's why she was unsure. And the other day, for the first time ever, from all the work, I managed to get tickets to a show, right? And I managed to take her, right? And it was insane to her, right? She was like, oh my gosh. And that moment, that reward makes it all worth it. I mean, it's funny, my mum now is getting such an ego about it now. She genuinely believes I'm famous, right? She'll be like, she does. She'll be like, what do I wear? I'll be like, I don't know. And then she's like, well, am I meeting anyone? And I'm like, no, you're not. What are you on about? She just lives for it now. But it's a lot of awkward conversations before that moment. I promise you that.
Okay, yes. Others, yeah?
I would definitely say, I know it's really hard in this world of social media. You've got to try your absolute hardest not to compare yourself to anyone. You are you. Follow your intuition. Do what is right for you, because that's all that matters, because that's what's going to truly make you happy. So I definitely think follow your intuition. And when you have setbacks, let that put a fire in your belly. When I did this degree, I had a dyslexia test, and she said to me, you're not going to get first. That's what the woman who tested me said. And I was like, all right then, I'll show you. So try, I listen to lots, I'm a bit obsessed with psychology as well, and it's always about reframing. When someone says you can't do something, be like, do you know what, I'm following my intuition and this feels right. I don't care what you're going to say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. That's, yeah.
I think in terms of the 5-year plan, the thing that I always tell people is I'm just going to be on the path. and you just decide a path to be on. And as you're going down the path, there might be opportunities that kind of come off that, and then you decide, I'm not going to take any of them, I'm going to continue down my path. And then somewhere in the future, you come off and you go on a different path. And I think any creative career in the arts is going to be like that. And a lot of people who don't have a career in the arts see things in a very logical, like progression-based way, because that's how those careers work. And you just have to say to them, that's not how it works in the theatre, and I'm just on the path and I'm going to see where it goes. 5 years ago, if you told me I was going to be doing what I'm doing now, I wouldn't have known. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 5 years, but I know I'm making decisions about the things that I want to do that are going to make me the most happy, that are going to make me the most fulfilled, that I think are going to give me the best opportunity to do what I want to do and to use the skills that I have. What was the other question? About negativity. So before I came to university, I did a BTEC in performing arts, and I grew up in Hong Kong, so a lot of very academic there, and a lot of my friends are very academic. And one of my friends said to me, why would you want to do a BTEC and just do drama all the time? That's like eating a brownie every day. And I think at the root of it, people say a lot of these things because they're jealous. They see that what you're doing is quite fun, that you have quite an exciting career, that you want to pursue that there's a lot of, they always have this, there's no, it's not reliable, you're not going to be able to buy a house, you're not going to be able to do, you don't know, you're never going to have any job, it's the fear. But so many industries are like that. You could get fired from a job in tech, you could get fired from a job in IT.
Their fear as well. It's their fear of failure, projecting that onto you.
Yeah, I think that you've mentioned the word jealousy, Rachel, and I think we have to accept that because we're doing something that everyone kind of knows about, because they watch television and they go and see films, and so being an actor is something that they might feel, oh shit, I wish I could do something like that. You're doing it. And so a lot of negativity comes from jealousy. Yes, anyone else? Fifi?
Yeah, on the jealousy thing, I feel like almost everyone has a creative passion, and it's whether or not they're pursuing it. I have friends who are nurses or ambulance drivers, you know who I'm talking about. And they have a creative passion, but they've kind of given up on it. And look, if I'm being honest, I might not have a lot of money right now, but I get to take off my shoes and play games with my friends in a room with a ball, and it's very fun. So I just think, if you have the passion, just keep doing it. The money's not going to matter. Back to the bread and butter stuff, you'll find other ways of getting money that are similar. Facilitation. I do event management at the Improv Theatre, so I'm watching improv all the time, which I'm very sick of. But it's still great. It's still in the same kind of pool. It's customer service, but it's customer service in a place where I want to be. So it's all good. 5-year plan. Again, this might not be helpful. Whenever anyone asks me what my plan is, I say I'm going to have a baby. And then they're like, oh. But I think that's caused me more trouble because now everyone's expecting a baby. And my dad, he is my biggest supporter. He loves me to the core. He's the best man on the planet. And he keeps telling me to take my CV to Channel 4. And I don't know what he thinks will come, to Channel 4. What? And what does it say on my CV? ASDA event manager. Great. Give me a job, Channel 4. He came to my show the other day, and I was directing. We had a phone call about it. He said, I have some constructive criticism for you. And the criticism was that he didn't understand the show. So you're going to have this constant negativity coming at you. But again, if you have the passion and the drive, and the want to develop everything that you're doing and grow, then just keep doing what you're doing.
Jack, do you want to say anything about this?
Yeah, I think it's important. Even when someone asks you a 5-year plan, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. But setting yourself goals that are attainable for yourself, I think is a healthy way to approach it. Instead, I've got some ideas I'm going to get to this point, but 5-year plan, that whoever asks you that, just say no. Just say no. Yeah. But I think also on that, dealing with negativity, I think self-care is so important. So whether that's taking a day off and going to the spa, going for a pint with your mates, or journaling. Like I do quite a lot of journaling, and that allows me to keep up with a hectic work life. But doing things like that help push that negativity aside and kind of keep the clear focus on your goals and not your plan.
Is that okay, Tara? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm up for another question. Yes, Ike.
Yeah, that was actually a good note to lead to this. I was just wondering, have any of you, or do you now, just for financial reasons, have any part-time jobs on the side? Or is that normal?
It's normal to have about 5 to 10 different jobs when you're freelancing. Yeah, I mean, I deliver parcels a few days a week. It's soul-crushing, but whenever you're doing a job that isn't within the industry, you just kind of have to accept that. So it's always good to try and find jobs within the industry. There's lots of admin jobs within the industry. There's other parts that aren't necessarily acting and directing. It's not being in the room. There's like tech jobs. You can be an usher in a theatre. There's all sorts of things that I would highly recommend doing instead of delivering parcels.
Can I also say that I've worked in restaurants for years before I was anything to do with acting, and I would say if you are looking for jobs that earn you money, try and get jobs where you're on your feet and keep healthy, like a waiter or a postman, rather than a sitting down in an office type job. That's my personal advice. Yes, anyone else?
Yeah, so I keep mentioning Asda because it's such a core part of my personality. I did work at Asda for 7 years until July this year, where I got made redundant because my Asda closed. So they really had to force me out. And what Asda did give me was a discount card, 10% off. It was very nice, being a student. But it also allowed me the flexibility to do all the extracurricular things that I wanted to do. But now, because I have a theatre company and I've been like running events, stuff like that, I applied to be an event manager at the Improv, and although I had no manager experience, they gave me the job, which I think is crazy. But now I'm doing it, and it's venue setup, it's like liaising with clients, so yeah, like what I was saying, it's still in the same pool. I'm still getting gratification because it's in a creative place with people that understand me. Yeah, so finding jobs like that, I think, will help with your creative processes.
I think having part-time jobs when you're doing this, especially when you're starting out, is great because it helps you develop loads of skills, and like Craig said, it helps you keep healthy. And I think the more you can have, the better. The more you're doing, like when I first graduated, I was working at Pinkman's Bakery, if anybody knows that. Working there, I loved working with food, so that was great. I graduated and I started doing social media for them. I started a photography business where I did photos for them in the bakery, but then I also did like headshots for my actor friends, and I did sort of like creative concept posters for performances and for musicians. And I was like making theatre on the side, but then that's great because you're doing like so many different creative things and you're kind of stretching your creative muscles, but then I'm also keeping healthy because I'm doing the front of house thing. Then some of you might recognize me. I worked here for 5 years, getting skills in tech. So if you have the opportunity to work in a theatre and do some backstage tech stuff, that's also really handy because then if you go and work in theatre later on, you know what's going on up here. You know when someone stands in the light, where the light is. You know how to talk into a microphone. Hopefully I'm doing a good job. And even now, like I work full-time in voiceover, but I also work in a restaurant, and I do that every week. I do that 1 day a week, and I have been doing that for the last 2 years. And that's really, I think working in hospitality is a really good one as well, because it kind of, to deal with the slog we were talking about, the kind of like the downs of everything, when you have a part-time job to go to and you can turn off that part of your brain for a day or for like a couple of hours, it's so good for your mental health. Just to kind of check out and do a job where it's just, oh, take this plate to that table. And you don't have to think about, am I a good actor? Am I a good director? What's the next show I'm going to do? What's my 5-year plan? Yeah, you can just do a job and get paid for it. So I would really recommend it.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, I was just going to add on to that. If you can't get a job that's close to the industry, it's kind of like the sort of scales. Definitely have a job where you know you can leave it at the door. So then you have your brain space to then actually do the things you really want to do. Is my biggest advice. Find something that takes the pressure off. You can just do your job, and then unless it's linked, which is amazing, if you can, that's a huge plus. So then you've got all the brain space and the time to be able to do the thing you love and grow that.
I'd just like to say also on Craig's point about doing something that keeps you active. When I was in uni, I used to knock doors for charity, trying to get people to sign up for £10 a month. Yeah? Right? Yeah? You remember my era, my door knocking era. Also, my gosh, it taught me rejection. Like, seriously, I have been told to F off so many times, and at work, ha 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 ha. So it completely teaches you rejection. And also as well, I just want to make a note about, how we were saying earlier about trying to fill up your time schedule, and things like that. Especially with, and the area I could talk on is acting, is the job doesn't stop when you're not getting paid. As soon as you finish your job, an acting gig, you are spending the next month going to auditions that you're forking out yourself for. So just also bear that in mind, that even when you're out of work, you're still working, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say.
Thanks, Josiah.
So what I would say is I've managed now to I'm always doing something that I really love. And whether, it could be an acting job, but I do, so I found out what I was good at. Some people are really good at admin, and I am not. And I will warn you now, when you become a freelance actor, admin is such a heavy part of that you just don't realise is going to be there. Spreadsheets and emails, what? Tax forms, get yourself a UTR already. So I found I was good at standing in front of people. Of course, I'm an actor, so I went into teaching. And a lot of facilitation companies, TIE, theatre and education, they love an actor who has a bit of educational background, and they're like, wow, come on, you go. And that opens doors. I do a lot of role play. Role play is an excellent way of making some extra cash on the side. And a lot of any university that's got a medical school, they will normally have a whole team of actors for their assessment. So I am a simulation patient and many other things. And that is also across kind of corporate world as well. So for medicine, for law, for social work, there is a whole private corporate sector where they need actors, and you just have to look for it. And I remember being fresh out and not knowing what I'd do, and I just emailed all of the role play companies that came up on Google, and I didn't hear anything for months. I didn't hear a single thing until about a year later, and they said, oh, we've got an audition, do you want to audition? And then suddenly started getting all of this, and not joking, it's really well paid. Not gonna lie, it's great. That's what you want. Like a couple of gigs a month can really pay your rent, and that's important. So find something you're good at, you like, and you can just do. And that's what I would say.
Thanks, Carys. And can you, if someone says something like Carys just said, I bet you some of you are thinking, oh, I'd like to do that, but how do I find where to apply? Can I suggest that after, when we've finished, we'll stick around for a bit, and if you've got something to ask a specific member of the alumni, then please do, because they will be able to help you about exactly how to do this.
Can I give a bit of advice to start with? Because UWE's really great at supporting as well. And so ask your lecturers, ask the people who've already been there. But I don't know how many of you use Facebook now because you're all so young. But there are so many Facebook acting groups. So there's, I'm part of the Midlands Actors Network. There's also Actors UK. And there are often jobs advertised on there.
Did you say minions?
Midlands actors, whatever. Just type acting into the Facebook search page and you get all of these pages. And yeah, a lot of them are complete shit, I'm not going to lie. But you find some diamonds on there. I've had some really good jobs, and Twitter is a dumpster fire right now, but I've got some really good jobs from Twitter. So it's X now, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't talk about
But only this year I've been part of an R&D because I applied to something through Twitter. There's also a fantastic site called Drama-Nick, so it's drama with Nick on the end. It is a paid subscription. It's $14.99 a month, but it doesn't matter if you share your login with a bunch of people. So when I first started out, me and a few mates, we bought a subscription, and it brings up all of the regional castings and the emails you need to send your stuff to, the breakdown of what it is, and you get theatre castings. I've got one of the best voiceover jobs I've ever done through Drama-Nick, and it's a really good site that just gives you the contacts straight away, and that has been fundamental in my part of becoming an actor. Another thing I just wanted to say is you have to have a good set of headshots. That's fundamental in the industry. I think you'd all agree. Yeah, you got to save up for them, I'm afraid. Save up for some really good headshots. Get yourself a show reel, and a voice reel. Those three things are fundamental parts of being in this industry. You need at least 3 headshots. You need a decent show reel. It doesn't have to be very long. It can be 2-3 minutes. It could be you're all here at UWE right now. You're all acting all the time. If you've got a duologue, film it, put it in a show reel.
Yeah, I mean, just to say in terms of the development of the programme, we now have our drama and acting students, we get them free headshots as part of their outgoing.
Wow.
I know, and they were really good.
I haven't had that anywhere else.
We've only just put it in. And
that is so good, because you've got to pay £200-300 for headshots.
I know, it's really good.
That's so good. I don't think you understand how good that is. Well done. There you go.
And also the development of acting for screen. You know, you make your films. But also we have a drama showcase now where you can have your own profile, and that is with you forever, and you can update it, you can put links to whatever it is that you're doing. If you're doing facilitation, I've only just found out, Carys, working at Birmingham Medical School with a team, I did that for 9 years as an actor. So anyone wants to talk about the value of surviving and living, and it's now called communication skills training, and we do it here, you know. There's a lot of work here, and it pays so well. I can't tell you. You can survive, and it's a day, or it's overnight, with travel and a hotel room paid for. You know, and it's basically improvisation. Yeah. Breakfast, sometimes an evening meal. But you know, there are opportunities coming up here to help you to get the showreel, and we've got technicians that can help you to edit. So, you know, the more and more we're doing the live stream with multi-cameras, Dan's up there, thank you so much. You know, we are really thinking about how to help you to do that if you want to be an actor, because not everyone wants to do that. So it's about going, what do you want to do, and using this time to find that out. Thank you.
And just really quickly on the voice reel, I'm doing a talk tomorrow on how to get started in voiceover, where I'll sort of talk a little bit about getting yourself a demo reel as well.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask for some more questions, but I just want to ask for this one. You want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say really quickly about the facilities here, that someone in my year who booked out a camera and filmed something on one of the cameras that he got available from here, okay, from that picture he got picked up by an agent, booked an advert, and made £15,000 and put a mortgage down on a flat, right? All from being picked up on something that was filmed on a UWE camera, right? You got the opportunity.
This is it. You know, we train you, and we've put it in now, acting for stage. Block 2, you are going to get trained on filmmaking kit. When you've done that, you can take it out, have a risk assessment form, and you can make your own work. Equally, at level 3, active for screen, you use their kit. You know, we train you on editing facilities. You can swipe in, you can edit your stuff, really basically. And then, of course, you can use the kit to create fabulous intermediate work for avant-garde theatre, for final year project, for, you know, it's like, oh, I've got to do that. Why are you making me do that? I'm an actor.
Yes.
Well, you're not an actor if you don't want to do this stuff and have a creative outlet. Anyway, it's the 21st century.
Can I just say, that is incredible. I don't know how to edit my self-tape, so that is fundamental in this acting industry, is being able to edit yourself, which is, you know, horrific, and you're just watching yourself again and again and again. So, yeah, please take all of those opportunities, because you need them. Like, get as much free reel as you can. I promise you, get as much as you can.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just passing it back.
Okay, here's my question I'd like you to think about, but then I'm going to hand it over to you again. In your, as you know, I now teach creative writing, and one of the things that I find it difficult to get people in the first years to understand is that most of their good writing is going to come from experience. It's okay to write stuff about yourself, even though you may disguise it in terms of creating characters who aren't you. Could you talk about something that you've done that comes from personal experience, or an experience that you've heard about, something you've created which is about you and your experience? Yes, Carys.
So I have recently devised an end-of-year show for some children, and it was about the past 8 years that I have been at primary school, and you can imagine everything we have all lived through in the past 8 years, and so it was taking moments from their lives and putting it into the writing, and that might be a snippet of a conversation. And so obviously I facilitate the children to make them think that they've done all the writing, but really it's me, the creative genius behind the project. But it's about taking those moments, those things you hear on the bus or the train or when you're walking down the street. I remember being at UWE and walking around Bristol and hearing the shouts of people and thinking, that would be really good in a play. So you've got to have a little, I remember Craig said in our creative writing sessions, having a little notebook on you. But now, I mean, I didn't have a phone at the time. I had a notes app on it. Oh my God. But having that notes app open and writing down these conversations. If you've just had a really good conversation, write it down. If you've had a really bad conversation, write it down. The best, Belle was talking about being vulnerable. You know, the moments of vulnerability on stage come from our humanity. They come from the conversations we have, the interactions we have, the love we feel, the shame, the guilt. All of these things, you feel sometimes like you're ripping out your soul and putting it down on a piece of paper, but that is what the people want to see. Yeah? Think of Fleabag. Look at that. Wow.
I think for myself, with using personal experience to help me in my work, to be honest, I think for me, it's used all the time in everything that we do, right? And I think it's about, you know, if you want to be an actor, every actor brings a niche, right? There's always actors out there, you know. You've got your Tom Hankses, you've got your Olivia Colmans, right? So you as an actor, you bring a niche. What do you bring? And that stems from your life experiences. I mean, for example, like when I'm an elf, I mean, look at me. Do I look like an elf? Right? Okay, I'm 6'1" and built like a fridge, right? But when I'm an elf, right, I'm a 6'1" East London elf who works out in the warehouse, right? You know what I mean? It's just about finding those things and using your experiences and to create your niche, is what I'd say.
Yes, Belle.
Sorry, I do know the question. I would say, going back to the vulnerable thing, like you absolutely said there, people love it. They love it when you're honest. That's what, it's universal. Every time if you watch the play, to stay for it, it's verbatim. It's because I moved to Bristol and saw how rife homelessness was. And no, it's not my experience, but I felt it enough to feel like I wanted to explore that. So then I got hold of homeless shelters and I said, can I please interview the homelessness? And that's what created our show. And it's that kind of being open to all these things around you. And like you say, listening to conversations and some of the things, I had no idea what these experiences were like. And it's about being so open and so curious about people and the world around you. And then through your art form and your devising, you're able to then pass these stories on, whether it's personal or something you've learnt. And then it brings people in, and it's so engaging. So I would say be open with yourself, because part of the reason I think in those interviews people were honest with me is because I allowed myself to be vulnerable too. It makes connections, and those connections is what helps your creativity, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So can I ask you, so the show we're going to see after this is based on that, your experience of interviewing homeless people?
Yes, so it's almost completely verbatim.
Just say what that means.
Verbatim means word for word. So if we did an interview with you, we take those recordings word for word. We might have edited them some ways, like taken exposition out. We talked about that a lot in creative writing, taking the exposition. There was editing, but it's pretty much the exact words of the people that I interviewed: homeless people, non-homeless people. We even do a meta. Well, I mean, I don't want to go too much into it, but yeah, I don't want to get spoilers.
Okay. Yes, Rachel.
I'm so swept up in what you were saying. I think that a lot, because...
Can I ask you to maybe talk about the show that you devised with Ellie a few years ago? That was based on something
Which one?
that was... were you involved in Darlings?
Darlings?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So when I left university, I started working on this show with a bunch of people that I didn't know at uni. We never worked together, and then started working together after uni because of word of mouth. And we worked on this show called Darlings, which was very much from the life experience of the writer Ellie, I call her Ellie.
Yeah.
And it was sort of her whole story, and a lot of what she does, the work she still does now, is takes past experiences and puts that on stage. And I think a lot of the work that we do as theatre makers, if you guys are interested in that, or as actors, is we take like our experiences and put them out there. And in a way, it's sort of understanding our own life through what we share.
Yeah.
And I think the more, going back to what these guys were saying, the more specific you can be in your own experience and what you're sharing, the more relatable it is.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to hide all the ugly and like painful parts of it. And obviously if something's painful, you want to give it time before you come and work on it and share it in art. But it gives people an appreciation and a feeling that they're not alone. And I think that's one of the most important things that we can do when we can understand what it is about ourselves that we can share with other people.
And I think that that's a very good definition of art. You know, it makes people feel they're not alone if you're honest about it. Yes, Fifi.
Yeah, echoing what everyone else has said and what Craig has said, don't be afraid to draw from personal experience. I think in second year when you do creative writing, you get like we had a new task every week. And I think in everything I wrote, there was either something that happened to me or something that's like just a bit distant, but still like is coming from that place. Or it's something that my dad has said. Every time I keep talking about my dad Nasda, loves of my life. Whenever my dad comes to see a show that I've written or had any part in writing, there's always something that he has said to me, like in it, which must be nice for him. But for me, it's just giving my characters a bit more meat and a bit more juice. And it's selfish and it's horrible to like think of. I think it's really selfish, but as like everything you experience, it's an experience. And as artists, we take our experiences and we feast on them and we share them. And like what everyone is saying, it makes it more relatable. And there's so many weird little things that like happen to you in your childhood. Like nothing too crazy, but my sister, I mean, trigger warning? It's not that bad. She cut open a daddy long legs because she thought it was pregnant. Great to write about. That kind of material will get you a first, trust me. Those kind of things, even if you just take the story and you make it a frog instead of a daddy long legs, people are gonna tune into it because they've had similar experiences, similar weird things happen to them. And most recently in our show, someone with a lived experience of bereavement was telling me a story that she had gone through. And I was just writing what she was saying. Of course, there's a bit of fluffiness around it. I'm adding a bit more. But it was a true, honest story. And it came out as a really beautiful monologue. And when we were writing it, we were like, this is really sad, isn't it? Yes, it is. But when we're making the work and we're showing the work, the audience are going to connect with that. We felt that when we were writing it, because we've had those experiences. But when it's on stage, it's the audience who are connecting, the audience who are going to get sucked into that moment.
Yes. Anything, Jack?
I was racking my brains when you asked this question about like anything I've used my personal experience with, and I think it's not necessarily any body of work as of yet, but it is about that being open and the willingness to ask questions. If you're working on someone else's project, to understand where they're coming from with it, like the one we did. I was just asking you countless questions about why this character did this, what does this mean, and it helps you to understand the character you're playing or what you're doing, and makes the experience better. But I mean, also taking things in your life that, so as I said earlier, I deliver parcels and I don't like it, but we're doing a show about a delivery person bringing joy for Christmas.
And they're forcing me to play an elf, so I need to talk to Josiah after this because, look, pray for me.
But it is about, yeah, maybe, and I think this is what we've been saying this whole time, is like the attitude that you have towards your work and how you approach things is, I don't like this, so how can I transfer this into doing something that I like? I think that is how you make art as well.
Such a good point. Yeah. How do you make something you don't like into something that audiences will enjoy? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what did you do after uni, and how did you sort of deal with the anxiety of the unknown, sort of, like how you went about that?
So, as a few of us on this panel, we are the class of 2020. So COVID happened and we didn't get to finish our degree, which sucked. But then after lockdown, I mean, we can't get away from each other. We since uni, we have worked together every year. She's my work wife. We went into the Made in Bristol program, which is with the Bristol Old Vic, and they put together a group of people and kind of give you the formula of how they make theatre, and then go, hey, go be a theatre company. And we're still working together and making theatre, which is really good. It's a program that the Bristol Old Vic, the theatre itself, not the theatre school, do. And they're looking for anyone who's creative. Like, it's not about being an actor. You can be a director, you could be a set designer, you could be interested in just lighting. They also, so while teaching you their formula of how they devise shows, and it's a part-time course as well, it's 2 days a week, while they teach you their formula of devising, you also get taught how to facilitate workshops, because they have their young company there, and then you kind of get put integrated into their...
So how does someone apply for that, Jack?
Just on their website. I think there is a part of the website that specifically has Made in Bristol. I think we're on there. All of the past Made in Bristols are on there. And the Wardrobe Ensemble, if you've ever heard of them, they were the first ever Made in Bristol, and now they're like one of the biggest in Bristol, and they're doing bits. So you can apply on their website and then ping them an email. And I think auditions are usually around July, and then it would start in September, and it runs all the way to July.
And just to stay on that for a moment, and what did you learn specifically from that?
I learned a new way of approaching, like, devising, because I did like avant-garde here, and like I think what I did in FYP touched on it.
That's
But
finally
obviously
a
we
project.
didn't. No, but we didn't get to finish it. So
Yeah.
but then I don't know. Made in Bristol kind of honed in a lot of devising skills, new things, and also particularly games and having fun in the room. Like, I'm an advocate for playing lots of ball games and lots of different games that you then take. So you'd have a game and then you go, okay, what are the rules of this game, and then how can we apply it to making a scene? And then it's like, what are the rules of this scene? And it's a really cool way of looking at theatre. It changed my perception of it.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Yes, do you want, what was the question? After uni. But can I extend that into what other courses have you done that have helped you get to where you are, as well as what you just did after university?
Yeah, so try not to repeat what Jack said. Did Made in Bristol, and I will say it was a group of 12 when me and Jack went. And I think on the second week, the leader of the course was like, I want you and Jack to direct the final show. We were like the only two that had been to university and did a drama degree. She told me that was a secret. I had to keep it secret. And later, everyone else in the group would say to us, yeah, you and Jack just have this thing. You know what you're doing in the room. You're confident in the room. And I can really credit UWE for giving me that. Because that's one of those things where I left UWE and I was like, I don't know what I learned. And then people tell you. They tell you how you develop. They tell you how you are in the room. So that's something you'll get if you do go into Made in Bristol. You'll seem really prepared. Yeah, we did Made in Bristol, have our theatre company now. We really luckily got a studio space. There's a company called Hypha Studios that give out like derelict shops. And we got a greengrocers in Broadwalk. And we spend a lot of time sitting around a little heater eating Pringles. But we do also, devise our shows. We ran into a panto. We did a panto really quickly after we left Made in Bristol. We just toured that around some pubs in Bristol. Then we did it again the following year. We did a small Southwest tour. And none of us we're not taught anything, like in terms of producing, none of us was taught anything like that. We just got up and did it. And again, like I keep saying, it's the passion that drives you. If you want to learn to do it, then you get up and do it.
Okay, thank you, Fifi. Yes, can we just go around? We've only got another 10 minutes, so let's have this question answered by everybody. But does anyone else want to ask anything? Okay. Yeah, go for it, Rachel.
I think a lot of people respond to finishing uni in very different ways. And I've seen 5 years of university graduates go through, and I've seen a lot of them on the other side. And everyone's really different. And I think it kind of falls into two categories. And anxiousness is definitely that 100%. I haven't spoken to a graduate that is not anxious when they finish. I think people deal with it in two ways. You're either going to go into this like ultra focused hyper mode where you're like, I just need to get stuff done, I need to find a job, I need to move city, I need to do this, I need to go to Australia, I need to or you kind of panic a little bit and shut down and you go, I'm going to go home and I'm just going to just lay low for a year and just like take it easy. And both ways is fine, and I think eventually you kind of balance out in the middle. For me, I did the ultimate hard, go hard, go hard, go hard. And I worked the hardest that I've ever worked in my life for 6 months, and I live in fear of ever working that hard again.
Again, I like you say, there's different options that you can do. I would just say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. Nothing's beneath you. You just go for it. Volunteer, put yourself out there, okay? If you want it enough and you've got it and you're following your intuition, you've got that talent, it will come to you if you work hard enough. I really, truly believe that, okay? And you've just got to put yourself out there. When I first moved to Bristol, I was like, I'm going to get into a band. I went to every single open mic until, like, people were probably a little bit sick of me, but then I got into a band. That's a different example. It's the same with theatre. I rang up my friends from uni and said, I want to start a theatre company. Who's interested? Started off as 8, went down to 3. Because I was like, it's non-for-profit. We have to do it in our spare time alongside our jobs. It takes a certain mentality who wants to do that. And you often cut the people who don't want it as much as you. So just be prepared to work hard.
I'll be super quick. Obviously, I graduated into lockdown, so the first year afterwards consisted of me and Ellie at the back there doing Bob Ross parties, and I locked down on Stokes Croft, which was insane. But then once it came out, you're dealing with anxiety. It happens. It happened to me. It happened to Ellie. Sorry, Ellie, completely bringing you into this. But we spent a lot of time talking about it, sitting 2 meters apart at a pub. You have to talk about it, and it will feel like shit. And I promise you, you will be fine. All right?
I'm going to keep this super quick. I said yes to everything. I built sets. I was a runner on a Ghanaian TV show filmed in London. I did dinner theatre. I've done children's theatre. I did children's parties, which also pays really well. Children's parties, get involved. Loads of money, honestly, especially at uni at the weekend. Great time. I said yes to role play. I said yes to jobs that I will never do again. I just said yes to everything I possibly could do, and now I'm here today.
Thanks, Carys. Yes, Belle, you were going to say something?
I was wondering if, specifically to the directors, I was looking to do a director's master's after this, but obviously there's definitely pros and cons, and I want to make sure I'm doing it for the right reasons, because I went to a grammar school, secondary school, and it's pretty much ingrained in you to just do as much education as possible, and I need to know if it's sort of right for me to do. So,
who would like to answer that?
So in my head, I'm always going to do a master's in 10 years, like the baby in 5, masters in 10. But I just think don't pressure yourself too much about doing a master's, because you can make the work yourself and find places where you're needed as a director. I've found everything you do is a learning experience, so cringe, but it is. You learn from every single thing that you do. And every show that I've done, if I've assistant directed or I've directed, I've learned from it. So just try and make the work and like find places where you fit, rather than like jumping straight to a master's, I would say.
Just on that as well, if you're feeling like stressed about it, just don't rush into it. Just like maybe take the year out and then just focus on making work and making some contacts. And then if something's not right, if it's not quite going as quickly as you wanted to, maybe then, like Frazer was saying, he made loads of contacts. So if it's something like that you're missing, or missing some of the theory behind it or whatever, then make that decision and take that. But if you're not sure, I wouldn't rush into it.
And also, Vera, I would say that if you do get into a directing course, you find out so much about yourself. I mean, I don't know about many directing courses, but every course you would ever take, whatever it is, you'll find out about yourself and what you're capable of and which direction you want to go in. And that's the main reason to do another course, whether it's an MA or a PGCE. It's about finding out who you are and whether that's the right direction to be going in.
And also, just to say, there are so many different directing courses. You know, you could go to Birkbeck, and it's very traditional text, okay? Or you might want to go, excuse me, to Salford and do a contemporary performance-making course, because you want to do something that's way more experimental. And so, you know, you're into your second year now, Belle, is that right? So you've got 2 years, and I know how much directing you're going to do over the next year, and we've had a chat about that, to find out the type of work you want to make. And it may be there's no MA out there for you. Make your own way, you know? Save the money. Put it into a show.
Sorry, I didn't. Sorry, so unhelpful.
Something that I do is I follow theatre companies that I really admire on Instagram, and often they will have call-outs. Also, emailing people being like, can I assist? Especially if you're going to stay in Bristol. Something I did in Birmingham is I followed all of the theatre companies I really liked in Birmingham, found out when their auditions were, and then went to those. I know with the directing, offering your services just to be in the room to observe the direction is something you can do. And just a lot of people are really lovely and they want you in the room because they want to support young artists. So just go for it. Send a lot of emails. You might get 1 or 2 back. You might get none back. Just try again in 3 months' time.
Okay, now I'm going to close the group after this question. One question, a quick answer from anyone who wants to answer, and then we've promised the guy who's keeping the Costa open, that you'll go and spend some money. And so as soon as we've finished, can we all go out there, and then you can ask them individually anything else you want to ask them. But one last question. Yeah.
It's just a question about ideas in general for like theatre making. I have a lot of ideas that I start thinking about and then panic when I try and take them further. So it's just about either practical ways of kind of taking these kind of little buds of ideas further, or just how you do it, I guess.
Just go for coffees, go for pints, go see people, bounce ideas off of them. I'm the same. I have far too many ideas for my brain to even comprehend and for me to even physically do. So even if it's just about talking to a friend, giving them the idea, be like, I don't know what to do with this, but have that. Or finding people that you know, like a director that you know that like is really good and you like the way they work. You go, I've got this idea, but I don't know how to get it out there. Just talk to people, I think, is the best thing for something like that.